the cloud. All right, welcome to the August circulation SIG meeting. Glad to see so many faces today. Hope you brought great conversations to have in relation to circulation. Who would like to get us started? Anybody have anything exciting to share or problems you're having? Yes, Eileen.
I know I was brought this up at the last. A lot of you already know this. We go to every.
Oh, it's getting hard to hear you, Eileen.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay. So at the last meeting, I mentioned, many of you know this already because CLAMS staff go to, including me, go to every koha or Aspen meeting there is to learn as much as we can. But at the last meeting, I believe I shared we were having terrible latency, slow response time in circulation. And Nick from Bywater, our support company, found the issue. And we're now speedy fast at the circulation desks. So we're very happy. Are you interested in hearing what the issue was?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So when we went to 2211 point whatever, I think we're on 0.07 now. The circulation, the checkout, check-in, and self-checkout slowed to awfully. And you know, we were asking libraries at their busiest time of the year because we're a tourist destination to make recordings. My staff went out and observed and or made video recordings and added them to the open ticket. Anyway, to make a long story short, this went on for 2.5 months, far too long, in my opinion. And then Nick at Bywater finally found that it was, and I'm going to kill the pronunciation on this, I apologize in advance. We had turned on pseudonymization for all transactions and everything to do with the patron record, including attributes. When he turned that off, that solved the problem. So we would like to, and he's supposed to report it as a bug in Bugzilla. So, you know, we appreciated his detective work, and we did a lot of detective work as well, with help from some people who were here. But anyway, we would like to turn back on parts of that, at least, because we're big into patron privacy. However, we're not going to do it over the summer because our libraries, as I said, you know, 2.5 months of this. So we're very happy to report that that was our particular issue with 2211. But we're not happy to report that we had an issue. We're happy to report that it has been resolved.
I'm glad you discovered what was going on.
Well, Nick discovered it. I mean,
it.
yeah, we tried everything. We went through our system preferences with Bob from Click. He was kind enough to do that. And, you know, nobody thought it would be that issue, but it actually was. So
I wonder what was special about your setup that caused that to slow it down for you. And not everyone, I think there are other companies. Does anyone else have that pseudonymization system preference turned on in this group? Out of curiosity. Okay.
Just beware. Yeah, hopefully they will fix it, because we do want our reports to be pseudonymized. Who can spell that word? Who can pronounce it? But yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, possibly it was the attributes or something, but because I heard from another site that they have it turned on, maybe not to the extent that we have, and they don't have any speed issues. So at the same time, if it's available, they need to fix it. So look out for the bug. I haven't seen it up yet, but I haven't checked today.
I would think it would be a huge overhead if you were taking in all your transactions and your attributes, and they might say that if you're going to implement it for everything, you need to beef up your server.
Well, they host us. They host us, Bywater. We're hosted. And they did, in fact, beef up our, you know, parameters or whatever on the server. They did all of that.
Right. Okay.
It's just unfortunate it took that long to discover it. So it's sometimes it's one of those little things. But yeah, I think the fact that it has to look through all of this stuff for some reason, we're a consortium, Daphne. I'm Irish too, but I guess I work on Cape Cod 30 years ago, but I still have the accent. So yeah, we're a consortium of 38 locations. So, you know, maybe it's the volume. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting us know about that and letting us know the fix so that we can be on the lookout. And I know we're looking into turning on pseudonymization. And so you're like, okay, we need to investigate instead of just turning it on. Let's maybe need some more things. I see someone put something in the chat. The attributes were the killer. I'm wondering if it's the attributes that are slowing it down.
It may have been, yeah, because the other site, Christopher, I'm not sure. I can't pronounce where he works, but he's involved in koha-US. He said at their site, they don't have the attributes turned on and they have no issue. But I'm just reluctant to go near it again over the summer.
Yeah.
Does anyone else, now that we're on about issues, this is not good news, but we're finding it, I mean, I think this is a known issue or bug, excuse me, searching the patron record by anything other in circulation. Searching the patron record by anything other than barcode is like slow as molasses for us. We're on 2211. Is anyone else? I see Mike has remarked on something, but
yeah, do you have any of your patron attributes as searchable?
oh gosh, Michelle will know that, or Avery, they're here.
Yes. Yeah, a bunch of them.
That's slowing it down.
Okay.
Yeah, because yeah, all of our stuff that was in Sierra, we just like put them into the attributes and
yeah.
So
what I would do, just as like a test, just to ensure, I don't know how many you have, but any of them that are searchable, turn it off, do some searching, and you're going to notice an extreme difference.
Thank you for sharing.
Is there anything in your attributes that do you need it to be searchable? What kind of things did you store in there?
no, really, we don't. One of them is the sort one field, which is we're using SSO, so it's just putting in the email address of all of the staff members. So that's just sitting there. So yeah, there are a bunch of attributes that we can just turn on.
Sort 1 and sort 2, those are kind of like standard patron fields, and those shouldn't affect anything, but anything that's those extra fields that you add, either like a drop down, a free text field, if you have those searchable, turn it off, and then you'll notice a big difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I am learning so much today. I haven't started looking into attributes yet. Thanks for the bug, Jason. Jason put a bug in the chat.
It looks like it's in discussion, and there was discussion about it as soon as yesterday. So it's fresh on people's minds.
Has
To go
anyone?
and find-
Okay, sorry. Michelle is our loan rule, circulation rule person, and I know Jason has helped her, but it's a nightmare to, like, somebody just asked yesterday or today for a new loan rule, and that used to fill us with dread when we were on Sierra, but that continues into Koha. I mean, we'd like to say no, but we're not going to do that. So I don't know, Michelle can speak to this more, but adding loan rules is still a nightmare, even on this system. Because of all, like, this is for a fining library, one of our 7 remaining fining libraries. But if anyone has any tips or tricks for making loan rules easier, or if they've done a help sheet or something, please share. Maybe I don't want to take up the whole meeting with it, but maybe post meeting. But we are finding it just as hard in Koha to add loan rules.
Is the issue the fines kicking in, like the fine itself, or?
I'm not sure what the issue is. Michelle can speak to that.
The issue is that now they wanted this specific item to circulate for 21 days. So now it's a whole new loan period that we have to make up, because most of our stuff is 7 days or 14 days or the occasional 21 days. But it so it kind of seems like I'm going to have to do like a thing 3 days, a thing 7 days, a thing 14 days, a thing 21 days, and keep going like that, because that's kind of what it seems like, is they want the same thing, but they want it to circulate differently.
Is it different item types that are circulating, or are they like all the same?
Well, this is a book club item. So they
Okay.
want this specific book club item to go out for 21 days. So we
'Cause
don't
you
have
could
an
do
item.
like you
item
could do
type
like
for
a book club like item type, and then
Yeah.
just have that set for 21
Exactly.
days.
So that's a
Yeah.
new
You know,
item type.
You
Yep.
know, Michelle, I think we're
It's
going to have
not-
to get consensus across the consortium for this, because we've always kind of, CLAMS has a history of doing the same loan periods for all libraries, and we're pretty good about that. But with Library of Things, you know, with these kind of, we used to call them ephemeral things. Although I think that's kind of an insulting term at this point, but Library of Things and miscellaneous things like that, we've allowed them, okay, you know, you can do what you want. You can circulate however you want to do it, but it's becoming an issue now. So I think we're going to have to say, okay, these are your options, choose one.
It's just the thing I'm noticing in Koha is in Sierra we could group like things together, so it was easier to say that this group of things for just this specific category can go out for this time, but this category can go out for this time. And yeah, we have to do like a one every line. Like I can't group things together like I could in Sierra, which is so so hard. So I'm still getting used to it.
There's actually supposed to be a way to do that. It's item type groups. And so for example, I recently tried implementing, we've got lots of different item types for videos. We've got Blu-ray, we've got Blu-ray 3D, we've got Blu-ray DVD combo, stuff like that. And if you go into item types, when you edit each one, you can set a parent item type. And so I created a parent item type that I called videos. And then I put all of those other videos under that parent item type. And the way it's supposed to work is you can set a Circ rule for videos and it applies to all of those item types. But I tried that just this week and it hasn't been working right for me. So I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I tried that when we first set up and it didn't work, but I thought it was supposed to work. So yeah, maybe it's just that
I think that the parent-child relationships only affect number of checkouts right now. I don't think it applies any other part of the rule to that.
Although even on mine, it wasn't even working for that. It was limiting all. I tried to limit it to 5 video types and it was limiting it to 5 of all item types, including books. So I'm not sure what was going on there, but I've got a ticket with Bywater.
Yeah, I've got it set up for some things. Generally, it is videos where it's like they allow 5 total videos at one time, but I have 2 different item types because I have to have one for new and then I have one for regular. But I haven't tested it since we upgraded, so there's a good chance it's not working for us either.
Yeah, the parent-child item types, I actually thought it was just to do a searching. Well, no, I wanted it to work for search where I could just say like this group, like group everything for videos, and then people can just search videos and all of them would pop up. So that was my hope for that, but that's not what it does.
I think there is for an item, you can create add a search category for item types. So that I think that is what you're looking for.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. Awesome.
It's if you go to edit item type, it's directly below the description. Then it has search category. You'd have to create a search category first. And I think that's under ITEMTYPECAT, the authorized value.
All right. Yeah, I was afraid to go into there because started grouping things, so I will look into that again. Thank you.
CLAMS is co-sponsoring a development for what is it again? Holds digest notification. That's our other little bit of news. And the development is going to be done by Bywater, but we've no timeline yet.
What will that do? Like send you the holds list every day or something?
Yeah, instead of, you know, a patron who has 6 holds, if they all come in together, you know, on the same day or whatever, it won't send them 6 notifications to pick up their stuff. It'll be a digest.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You don't need 6, just 1.
Yeah. So, oh, thanks, Jason. There's a whole load of us. I mean, we're co-sponsoring for a small amount. There's others that are in for bigger amounts, but we're excited. It's our first development that we're helping with.
Staying with sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, staying with the topic of notifications and patron notifications, does anyone use ITypes? Okay. Thanks.
That was going to be my question too.
Yeah, what does that do?
Does anyone use Twilio?
I know that Christopher Brandon at Coeur d'Alene does, and he's got like a whole like crazy telephone calling tree thing that he set up because they're a consortium. So he might be a point of contact for that. We tested out Twilio just for text messaging, but we found that we would lose the ability for patrons to reply to text, which I'm okay with, but I don't think my libraries would be okay with, because they can do that right now with text to email. So that's why we didn't move forward with it. So we're still just using text to email, which is semi-reliable, but we've never done phone notices, so we didn't test that part of it out. But Christopher has it set up, so if you need a contact on that, I would reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone using Capira as their mobile app?
Is anyone trying unsuccessfully too?
Yeah, I mean, we have our contract expires in November, and I can't wait for, is it Lita to be up and running? I guess it's up and running, but people love to do the self-checkout on their phones, and they can do that with Copera, but very little else is working. And we're getting OCLC purchased Copera, so we're not getting the responses we need. So, and it's not working correctly. So I just wondered. Is anyone using Lida for their mobile app?
We have it in our pipeline, but we haven't like rolled it out yet. There's talks, but probably early next year we'll start letting people use it.
We introduced it to our librarians a couple months ago, and they don't seem too excited to be using it at this point.
They are excited or not too excited?
They haven't really started using it, so
Okay.
not much use at this point.
Do you have a different mobile app at the moment, or is this like your first mobile app?
It would be the first time we've tried it, so I think a lot of them are slow to adopt that
Mhm.
that technology.
Once they get used to self-checkout, I mean, I was surprised. Well, of course, we had it during the height of COVID, but people really use that self-checkout.
You actually got it to work with Copera and Sierra?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, we did. Now,
Mhm.
having said that, there was one library that we only have one library that uses RFID.
Mhm.
So it never worked for them for self-checkout. But all of the others, I mean, I think the librarians embraced it, and then by default they loved it, so showed their patrons how to use it. Yeah, it worked fine as far as I know.
We just had an issue with getting the correct stats, so it just wasn't working right for us. But
yeah, now it's giving us checkout stats all for one location, no matter where the person checks out the stuff. But there's a load of other issues with Copera and Koha, so I think it's time to say goodbye to it soon.
so does Lida offer mobile self-checkout?
I don't think so.
They're working on it, I think, because we went to something
Oh.
recently where
Yeah, I'm not sure it's live yet.
I don't
but-
think it's, yeah, I think they're
but it
still
was
working
coming
on it,
soon.
but it's coming.
Because that was part of the reason why we said we would stick it out with Coperas, because of that check thing.
You guys have like security at your library? Does that like work with the, you know, the metal detector things at the front with books? Like the
Not with
self-checkout?
Copera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it could still set it off.
they can't use it at all.
Oh,
Like
okay.
at the library that has the RFID, they can't even use it. So, and they're our biggest library, but everyone else seems to love it.
Most of our libraries aren't even using the security anymore. They'll just have the gates and they're unplugged, or
Yeah, exactly.
they're
Yeah,
there for
it's
show.
more of just a visual deterrent.
Yeah.
So it does look like this functionality may be coming in 23.11 to base Koha. I've been trying to read through this bug, but it doesn't seem clear on exactly how it works. But it sounds like maybe it'll be a thing. The first bug was, is that the one? 30979 is the one that's been pushed. And there's a test plan on it talking about logging in via OPAG, entering the barcode, and checking out themselves. The other bug is check out via the camera on the device. So since that's the second bug, I'm guessing that piece isn't in the first bug, but I don't know exactly.
Anyone else have any developments in the works on your Koha? Got any Fun stuff.
There will be one coming soon. We hope that people will be interested in. Michelle, do you want to explain it, or sorry for putting you on the spot? It's about, oh, what is it about? It's about circulating, no, holes and sort of different groups for selecting the holes.
The tiered holds.
Tiered holes. I can put in chat, Ben, or Bob, I'm sorry, Bob Benhoff. We had been after this development for years when we were on Sierra. And we're not sure it exists on any ILS, but Michelle shared the wording we had, you know, for the past 8 years with Innovative. And he has consolidated. We think the underpinnings are there. I'll put it into the chat because I can't articulate exactly what it is. But we hope that people will, am I allowed to do this? We hope that people will chip in with the development. Meaning co-fund. When I find it, I'll put it.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of these groups, I feel like, is finding out what enhancements people are working on and sharing it with the group to see who else is interested in helping. If everybody gives a little bit, you can chip away at the big price. Is there anything else? Anything to be looking for on 2211 to keep our eyes open with problems you've had, or exciting new things on 2211?
I ran into a bug with checkout history sorting. I'll put that in the chat. It has to do with if you turn on record staff user on checkout, which is a system preference that lists which staff account checked that thing out to the person in the checkout history. It displaces the sorting basically when you turn that on. So it's sorting by that column instead of by due date, which gives you a completely terrible sort. And I've had a lot of confused people. I wrote some jQuery and it works in 3 places. It works in Chrome on my production server. It works in Chrome on my test server. It works in Firefox on my test server, and it does not work in Firefox on my production server. So I don't know. It's like one of those things. I don't know why it's not working, but it's really frustrating. But I posted the bug as well because it does seem like an actual bug. So.
Yeah, it's working everywhere else. What the heck?
Well, yeah, and my test server is on a different version than production, so that may be why it's not working on Firefox in production. I don't know. I was going to talk to Lucas about it at our web dev meeting next week to see if he had any ideas.
Yeah, I've learned the hard way. If your Chrome or your Firefox is on a different version, it doesn't operate the same. You either need to go back a step or move everything up a step.
I have a question.
That's the level of IT I have. What's your question?
Unrelated to the upgrade. So is anybody using batch checkout on the staff client?
Yes.
Do you have any loves or hates with that? It's a feature that came like after, like it didn't exist when we started, and then when it came we never turned it on because I think there were some problems with it. But we turned on the check previous checkout with the current upgrade, and people love it and hate it, and I'm thinking batch checkout might help with some of the hate of it. So I'm just wondering if there's any like outstanding issues with batch checkout that you've run into.
Well, we set up batch checkout for just our materials processing staff. So not every patron type can do it because we didn't want everyone to be able to have access to it. They use it for big projects when they have just text files of books that they've scanned from the stacks or something on a cart. They just, drop that straight into the box and boom, it's all checked out to their card. I haven't heard any negatives about it. Not that anything's been reported to us. We've had it turned on since we went live. So it's worked really well for us. But like I said, we're limiting it just to the people who would need something quite that big. So I'm not sure if that would work for like a regular patron checkout or not.
So the main complaint I'm getting, so like when you turn on the check previous checkout functionality, every time somebody checks something out that they've had before, you have to click yes to confirm that checkout. So, and that's the functionality we kind of wanted. And we discovered that it also works with holds. So like you're not putting the hold on for the person that's already had it in the past, which is a whole other thing because of our club hold setup. It's a big sticky mess. But I think that the batch checkout in testing, it seems to do everything that I want. So I'm trying to decide, I guess I can turn it on for like one location and make sure things don't explode and then let the rest of the consortium use it. But I think from what I can tell so far, it should work and should like get around that issue of having to click yes every time, because it's like scan everything in at once, hit a button, confirm all of the different things that pop up for the second button, and it's 2 clicks instead of like 25 or whatever. Okay, thank you.
I also put a bug in the chat for we don't have a batch check-in option, which always drove me crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen that in Koha before.
I know a tricky thing that you can do, but I've been discouraged from sharing it. But I think there's actually a presentation on this at the conference. But yeah, you can technically make it happen with another tool in Koha, but it's dangerous because it doesn't catch all of the circulation things like holes and whatnot.
Yeah, that's actually what I've been using batch checkout for, is to check them all out to like a dummy card and then just check them in off their record. Which
that's probably safer than my method.
But when you're doing it for 100 items, repetitively, it gets kind of annoying. So just having a batch check would be so much faster.
Anything else? Well, I have a question. Is anyone using offline circulation? We have some libraries that just have super slow internet during certain times of the day. And I'm like, I wonder if offline circulation or even the batch checkout, if that might help get us around our problem. Does anyone have that offline circulation? Are you using that?
We used it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Eileen. We have it, yes. We use the Firefox plugin, not the one that's installed on the actual desktop.
I can't remember much about it, but when we were migrating in February, the libraries used it. Avery or Michelle, do you know anything about it? It's been so long. Seems so long ago. I can't remember specifics, but we've upped the internet speed since then.
We used it for our last migration and it didn't work out well for us. I had a large library, like our biggest library migrate so far. So they needed to keep doing circulation and we don't often use it. So my training wasn't thorough enough, I guess. But not all their saves got saved basically, and we use the desktop client, not the Firefox client. So like you have to, at some point you have to click a button to tell it where to save the file, and that didn't happen on 3 of their 4 checkout computers or whatever. So we only had like 1 record of checkouts. So it was not as intuitive as I thought it was, I guess. So you'll want to be thorough about your documentation if you're using that client.
Well, we had threat of a tornado the other day. Actually, it did hit one of the towns near us, but it did hit one town on the Cape, but it's something we need to document and get back up there for the winter because they fairly frequently used to use the Offline Circ when we were on Innovative. So it's something we need to, they need to have at hand and print out the instructions. But I think it worked okay when we were migrating. I didn't hear from anyone that it didn't work, but I'm not sure if it's the Firefox one or the desktop client or what we used. I can't remember, to be honest.
Also, I've heard you should never use it for check-ins, just checkouts, because things get really messy if you start checking things in with it.
Well, that was a limitation on our old system too, so they were used to that.
It should work, but like that, the check-in, don't use the check-ins because it won't trap holes or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think for registering new patrons, that's the other thing. I mean, obviously that's not an emergency thing. It really is just for checkouts, I believe, as far as I recall.
Well, I have a question. Is anyone using the POS system in Koha?
What is that?
What point of sale?
Is that for like fines or?
Well, you can set it up so that you can sell like flash drives, and we take a lot of money across the desk for our friends group, so like friends memberships and book sale and that kind of thing. And but what we're trying to kind of figure out is we do refunds, and maybe we do a same day refund, and that's like money into the drawer and money out of the drawer, so no problem. But sometimes somebody will have like a lost book they've paid for 2 months ago, and then they find it and they come in, and we have like a 6-month window, I think, and so we do a refund, but that money doesn't come out of our drawer. Our finance department cuts a check for that. So as we're learning how this works, the reports kind of they include that as money that's coming out of your drawer, but it really isn't. And so we're just trying to figure out reporting and find out if anyone has any procedures for that. We're bit by bit, we're getting it working. So
it's on one of these little slips of paper around my desk that one of my libraries wanted to test point of sale, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm interested to see what you wind up with, Barbara.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna get there, and right now I've got some of the built-in reports we just don't feel make a lot of sense to us. So I've got a report that tracks our payments and purchases. So payments being like for lost books and purchases like for flash drives. And then I've got a separate report for refunds. I would love to have those in one report eventually so that staff can just run this one thing. And there's a little bit of a feeling of not being able to balance your checkbook sometimes when you get those finance department refunds that happen. We're not actually the ones refunding the money, it's coming from somewhere else. And so we're trying to create reports that will help with that, and I've learned how to bold some things in reports. Andrew helped me out with that the other day, so I can get a total and it's in bold and it looks all nice in presentation. So we're eating away at it.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Hi.
Did I
Mike,
miss
thanks for
anything good?
always.
You missed everything good, George.
It's the action.
Story of my life.
Well, I'll bring up another topic. So with this release, they brought in the field for pronouns. And so our staff was discussing, do we need to be keeping them? Do we need to implement that? How do we want to do it? Because there's been a lot of talk also about, are we collecting information from patrons that we don't really need? So then that led to, well, should we do that instead of gender? Do we need gender? Do we need either? And do we have any other information we're collecting that we really, isn't reasonable for us to be collecting for patrons? So I just wondered if other libraries have had discussions about that, have opinions about that.
Beginning in a couple of weeks, I have a meeting coming up on August 29th with our members. And at that time, I'm going to let them know that that NECLS as an organization has decided that we are going to stop collecting the sex markers on people's. We're going to disable the feature in Koha. We're just going to make that an unavailable field. I've already done it for several libraries. And the reason here in Kansas is because state law changed and it said, for state agencies, if you collect that data, you have to collect the data that is the patron's sex at the time of birth. And our thinking is we don't want to make our member libraries have to verify that information. There are no consequences to this law. If you don't do it, or if you do it wrong, there's no legal consequence. But we figured that this is a way to just shut the whole conversation down, because when we talked about it here at the office, the consensus was why do you need to know a person's sex when they're checking out materials? What is the value of having that in the catalog at all? And so currently that's our plan. There are a couple of libraries that are probably going to say, but we need that. But when I looked at the information as it's currently being kept, what I found is that there's only one library that seems to be gathering data consistently from all of their patrons. Most of the libraries, about 50% of the patrons, there was no data collected at all. It was just marked. It was either not marked at all, or it was marked as NA. And so for most of our libraries, it just didn't matter. And a couple of libraries, as soon as the law went into effect, they contacted me and they said, we want to disable it. We don't want to collect it anymore. And any information we currently have, we want it gone. So that's our plan. And because of that, I plan on making the pronoun field unavailable. Just keep it an unwanted field in our system. So
we haven't addressed this issue, but I will say the advantage of the pronoun field is going to be from a customer service standpoint. Probably your frontline staff may want that information, but it does seem like a sort of tricky line to walk. We've just left it sort of open and open to local control at this point. slow. In general, like George said, they're not using either field, but it's available there if they feel like they need it. I had one library that requested the pronoun fields way back when. So we decided we just leave it on for now.
Yeah, I guess our thinking is currently there are no enforcement mechanisms in this law, but that's the way these laws seem to work. Is first they'll put it on the books, and then next they'll add some enforcement. And so at what point do we? It just seems like it's easier to cut it off right now, so to speak. I guess when you're talking about gender, maybe cut it off isn't a great expression.
Thanks for bringing that up, George. I hadn't realized that implication from Kansas, so that's something we'll have to look at too.
Yeah, pretty much what the law here says, that if you're a state agency, or if you're a taxpayer funded agency in Kansas and you collect that data, it has to be based on the person's sex at birth. So it's going to vary from state to state. Some states aren't going to do anything with it. And the one argument I've heard in favor of keeping this is, it's for demographic data. But at what, because actually when you look at the numbers, the number of adult males using the library is a lot lower than the number of adult females using the library. But, there's plenty of other ways. I figured, as somebody who was in charge of circulation for such a long time, I feel like I don't need to know anything about this person other than how to contact them if they don't return the item. And if that doesn't, if I'm collecting information that doesn't help me do that, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
I do just want to say something about the pronouns. We have it turned on in our system, and we had it in our old system as well. And our staff were really excited to get it, and they use it. And it's just like personal stories that you hear when someone has been, when they have the pronoun they in their record and someone refers to them as they, and then they actually post on Reddit that they're like, someone actually said my correct pronouns today, and I was so happy the librarian did it. And it's all based on, the connections you're making at the library. And even like being at the Circ desk, like even if like you're bringing the person over to reference for an interaction, even having that is like, could you help them, or could you help her, or could you help him? Like that is something that could help you in the record when you do see it. So we have had that turned on and have really good positive feedback with it. So I would just say that the gender, absolutely no, that's not happening in Massachusetts at all. Like I haven't collected, I've never worked at a library that collects that, but the pronouns is more of a, from I agree with Jason, from a customer standpoint or a patron standpoint, that interaction is better than than gender.
Michelle, I have a question for you. Are you using a blank text field, or do you have preset preset pronouns that they can choose?
In Sierra, it had to be preset, so we put like all the variation, like just two, like she, her, they, them type of thing, and just went all through that. But in Koha, we've kept it as free text, so anyone can put whatever they need to in there. And when we migrated from Sierra, we just put all of what we had in Sierra into the Koha field.
Thanks. Yeah, we're not, we do not connect anything with gender. And we're talking about pronouns and whether or not it should be a drop-down box just for ease of staff, or like our self-registration page, to keep the data cleaner, to have it just be a drop-down, or versus a free text option. So we're currently in that discussion.
So there's a bug out there talking about like making it a pull down, but that also has a free text option. So like there's choices, but if the right choice isn't in there, then the patron or the staff member could also enter something free text at that
Oh, that would
point.
be awesome.
I'm all for pull down menus to avoid spelling errors and so on. And we're looking at a new self-reg product. Well, we're not looking, we're actually going to do it in the fall. It's a statewide thing in Massachusetts where they gave us money. It's Kipu. I always pronounce this wrong. QUIPU is the company, but we'll have to keep that in mind about the pronouns. I'm not sure if we will have that set up, but it's something we should do with the self-reg.
Anyone have anything else? We still have 5 minutes.
Just point out, we have Aspen and then the registration page in Aspen, and we have it under identity, and it's just a free text field right now.
Oh, can we change it? No, okay.
Oh, I'm looking through the bugs that I've like added since the upgrade. This is a very American bug, maybe. I found that in the curbside module, when you're picking times, it's 24 hours no matter what. So I wrote a bug to like, make that follow time format so that for us in America and other places that use 12-hour format, the patrons don't get fully confused. So there's that one.
There is, I'm mentioning it in the chat box, there is a page on the koha-US website called, it's koha-us.org/bugs. And whenever I'm in a meeting and we talk about bugs, I try to add the bugs that are discussed to that list at that page. So it doesn't cover everything, but it covers a lot of stuff talked about in a lot of meetings, just for everybody's information.
Thanks for the info and for collecting all of that. We've discussed a lot of bugs today.
I'll have to watch later and go back and fill in the ones I missed. So
we even mentioned one that hasn't been created yet.
you're on your own with that one. I can't track that one until it's created. What bug was that?
On pseudonymization.
Pseudonymization.
There you go. Slowing down systems when they all attributes and all.
I heard
else.
part of that. That was a discussion at yesterday's meeting.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mike, thanks for the Koha Offline Circ PDF with instructions on how to set that up and use it. I'm looking forward to digging into that.
Yep, you're welcome. If you'd like a
more.
like a Word doc editable, actually maybe like I can share that one too. So it'll be easier to where did I find it? There's an editable one for you.
Oh. Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to discuss? All right, then I will stop the recording.